Cheers, y'all. Happy wine and design. I hope everyone is doing wonderfully. So what I want to talk about tonight is creating a color scheme for your home. And when I say that, I bet most of you all immediately go to paint colors. And yes, that is a large portion of a color scheme throughout the home. But I'm talking about everything throughout it, your window treatments, rugs, your furnishings, accessorizing, etc. When you create a color scheme throughout a home, it gives a sense of harmony, and it unites all of the spaces within the home. Instead of, I'm decorating with blue in my living room, and then in my bedroom I chose to do pink, and in my dining room I'm going to do red. That just is really chaotic to your eye and doesn't give a unified look to your home. So when you're setting that color scheme, the first thing I recommend doing is just looking at what your favorite colors are. I've heard some people say, look at the colors in your closet. I don't recommend that. For some of you that might work. I know if you looked in my closet, you would really only see black and white. So that does not work for everyone, but just look at the colors you're drawn to and use that as your starting point. And I like to use two true colors, two true colors as anchors, as the main color scheme colors. And then you want to pick one neutral, and that neutral is going to be very important because for the most part, that's going to be your paint color throughout. That's going to be the thing that really grounds your home. And then a pop of color. So just as I've recommended doing when you're decorating one single space, you're going to do this throughout the home, but instead of, that two colors and a pop like I normally recommend for an individual space, that neutral is going to become very important. And with neutral, it may sound a little boring and you might automatically think white, beige, gray. But within that, there are so many nuances of those colors. I mean, if you go to any paint store, if you step into a Sherwin-Williams, the amount of whites that you will see is unfathomable. It's hard to even decipher. And so just real quick, when you are looking at neutrals, you need to think what you are also working with that's already existing in your home. So, what color is your flooring unless you're going to change it? What color are your kitchen cabinets? Because if you've got like a rich, dark, we'll say dark walnut color to your cabinets, you're not going to want to go with a white color that fights with that. And the biggest example I can give of this was something that was actually in a home that I had a few years ago. So this was 2020. We bought this house. The previous owners had done a little facelift to the kitchen, like most of us do when you're selling your home. And they wanted to do the white kitchen thing. It appeals to pretty much everyone. But they made a fatal error in selecting their white. So the kitchen cabinets they chose were a very warm white. The white that they chose for the wall was very cool. The countertops they chose were very cool. And so they just fought with one another. And the same thing will happen not just with different tones within the same color, but you need to look at that, like I said, with countertops, with cabinets, with any wood flooring, etc. So you've got your neutral, you've got your two colors, and you have your pop of color. I do recommend and like a neutral wall throughout the majority of the home. You don't want to have this boomerang, or I'm missing the word that I'm looking for right now, where every room is painted something different. That again is not cohesive. It's not soothing to the eye. It does look really chaotic. But I do like a painted room in a saturated color. I love a navy blue room. So you might want to do that just in a dining room. I think that's a great space for a deep saturated color. It's also a great space for wallpaper. Well, really, anywhere is a great place for wallpaper. But a bedroom is also a good place to use a paint color. But with that, you want to, again, stick within that same color scheme. So I'll just give an example of an imaginary home of mine. So let's say that I choose, well, let's work with what I have here. A green, a navy, my neutral is a white, and let's just say my pop of color is pink. So I would paint my walls throughout, maybe a warm white. Maybe my dining room would be a navy blue. And then maybe my bedroom, I would paint another soothing spa blue color. So it still is within that same blue story that you're telling throughout your home. So yeah, pick a neutral, pick some, I recommend about 2 colors that you really are drawn to, and then a fun pop of color. And I like to really go outside of my comfort zone. Now I said pink, that's not really outside of my comfort zone, but a yellow, a bright yellow or an orange or something like that is really fun and unexpected in decorating a home. And the reason, to loop back, the reason a color scheme is so important and the reason you want to start with this, I emphasize so much planning and not just buying, not just kicking off everything with a shopping spree. Actually sit down and even write out on paper what you want. So with a color scheme, it's going to unite everything. It just makes everything make more sense. It's more calming to the eye. And also it makes your decision making so much easier, because when you're shopping, when you're choosing fabrics, when you're doing anything to decorate your home, or if you're starting brand new to design a brand new home, it makes the decision making so much easier if you can keep referencing back to that color scheme. So I hope you found this helpful. If you ever need anything, ever have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me a quick message. I now have my YouTube channel up, so please check that out. That's where I'm storing all of my old wine and designs, so you can check it out. And I have updated my course. It will be coming out next week. So just hang on for a bit if you're interested in that. And also with that course, you'll have the course. You'll again have all of the wine and designs together in one space. You'll have all the workbooks, all the cheat sheets. So I'm really expanding it this time. And that's it. Let me know if you need anything. Sign up for my newsletter. If you haven't already signed up, you can do that on my website, Grace and Pratt Interiors. Thanks so much. Y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.